What's going on, guys? It's Tom. I'm back with another video. Listen, on this video, I kind of was just thinking about. Hopefully, I won't drag on too long on this one, but uh, some of the reasons why people leave their countries and go to other countries to live, right? Like the different reasons why people become expats, right? And I'll probably focus more on the Philippines. Obviously people go to other countries, not just the Philippines. There are expats in many countries, in the world, right? I'm sure there's a lot in Mexico and some other South American countries and other Asian countries, right? Not just the Philippines, Thailand and you know Vietnam, Malaysia, you know, um, Singapore if you could afford it. But I'd say the Philippines has the lowest cost of living, probably out of all those countries, except maybe Thailand's probably pretty similar from what I hear, as far as cost of living. And I hear their food's a little better and their infrastructure's a little better, you know. But anyway, I just wanted to go through some of the reasons, right? Like, and then what I'd like to you to do, the three or four people that are watching this video, type in the comments what your reasons were. Now, whether you're living here, if you're already living in the Philippines, right? Type in the comments and just kind of give me what your reasons were for coming here to live, right? And leaving your country. Whether it was the US or any other Western country that you were living in. And if you're thinking about coming here, right? You're not living here yet. You're not in the Philippines living here yet. Tell me what your reasons are, for wanting to be an expat or wanting to, come here to live. Okay? Appreciate it. But anyway, the first reason I think is there, some people, and this is kind of like the original reason, right? Expats have been around for a long time, but sort of recently, there seems to be in the last 5 to 10 years, there's, there's an incidence of like a lot of people going abroad to live, especially here in the Philippines. I mean, there is quite a few of us. Um, but I think the original reason was that just there's people that just love to travel. You know what I mean? There's people that love to travel and explore other countries and cultures and food and everything else, right? And whether they're young, okay, whether they're like digital nomads that are able to live and work remotely from anywhere through their with their laptop and smartphone and everything or whatever, right? Or whether it's older people, people that are like over 50, let's say, and maybe you're financially, you're not one of those people that's just on a pension, but maybe you made a lot of money and you've got the money to do it. Maybe you're only 52 years old or something like that, for example, but you've made a lot of money, uh, or some people even at that age might even have a pension, like a private job pension. You know what I mean? That, because if you're 52, you could have worked somewhere for 30 years, you know, or you could have been in the military, in the U.S. military for 20, 30 years and get a pension there, And then there's some people who, like I said, just have a lot of money and they're able to do it, like, yeah, I could do that. They got like $10 million dollars or, whatever, or more than that, and they have investments that make money for them. And then maybe they even still do things, like those type of expats they're always making money. You know what I mean? Like they're having their money work for them instead of them working for their money, you know? It's like my dad told me, man, when I was a kid. He said, there's two kinds of people in this world: people that work with their feet and people that work with their head. And he said, I mean, I made my money with my feet. You know what I mean? Like, in other words, he worked. He just, he had his own business for a while. He had a milk route for 25 years in Chicago, and he did okay, like in the 60s, 70s, things got kind of sour, But but anyway, I'll never forget that. My dad passed away, what, 6 years ago? Almost 6 years ago. Christmas Eve, it'll be 6 years. But I'll never forget that. Like 50 years ago or whatever, man. 40, 50 years ago, he told me that. So anyway, so if you got a choice, try and be the guy that works with his head, you know? So anyway, that's one reason, right? And that's one group of one category of people that become expats. Now the other one I have is just people they're retiring, they're seniors, and they want to live in a more affordable country, right? On a pension, they might have a fixed income, and they literally just want to be able to retire in their 60s, maybe even at 62, right? Because if they stay in the U.S. or whatever country they're from, they're gonna have to work till they're 70 probably, right? Full time, you know. And some people are just like, hey man, I've already worked for like 50 years or 45 years or whatever, right? Full time. I want to be able to enjoy my life a little bit and retire, right? I do have notes, but the so that's a lot of us, myself included. That's a partial reason. That's not my 100% reason, but it's certainly a partial reason. And I'll probably just make another separate video on why I came here to live. But for now, I'm just want to talk about the various different categories of people, right? Now, and then here's another one, right? There's guys, and I imagine women too, but more men that are married to a Filipino, right? And maybe they've been married for a long time. They came here a long time ago and they met their future wife, and then they became married. They got married, and then the Filipino went back to the U.S., okay, and they sort of lived in the U.S. and probably started a family and whatever, right? And now they're retired, right? And they want to, and they decide, hey, let's go to the Philippines to retire. And whether they do that full time, like just full time, 12 months a year, and maybe it's just visit the U.S., you know what I mean? Periodically every year or whatever. Or whether they do like the 6 and 6 deal, where they go to spend 6 months, like the winter, the bad, nasty months of the U.S. in the Philippines, but then they come back to the U.S. for the other 6 months, like the spring and summer, right? That's another option, right, that people do. So they're kind of like part-time expats, right, if they do that. But that's certainly a category that people fall into. And they, like I said, these people could be in their 50s and 60s easily, right? And but the Filipina probably grew up in the Philippines, right? And maybe lived here for 20 some years until she met the husband, you know. So maybe she's got siblings, or she's got family here and stuff like that. Plus I'm sure they visited here in the Philippines during all those years, on a fairly regular basis, especially like around Christmas time. That seems to be a popular time for, people, Phil-Ams or whatever, to come back and visit their families here, when they have some time off before Christmas. So, and let's see, what's another reason? The fourth reason would be you met a woman online. You came to the Philippines to be with her and to stay in the PI afterwards because you're already planning to come to the PI to live, right? And that category would be comprised of mostly older guys, I would think. You know what I mean? Like at least in their 50s and probably more likely in their 60s. So that's, and the interesting thing is probably like, whether that initial relationship worked out or not, that initial woman that they met or whatever, or not, sometimes they still may, have the plans of coming here to live. And then, of course, they're going to meet someone else eventually, probably, you know what I mean? And then that relationship will stick, you know, hopefully. Hopefully. For some of you guys out there, Um, but, and then I guess there's a couple other, well, there's one more reason I'll talk about. And that's just guys that literally are just become sort of, I don't know, they become disenchanted with their lives in the West. Okay. And they've, they start watching vloggers, expat vloggers like in the Philippines or whatever country they want to go to, right? Like Thailand or whatever. But they start watching vloggers and they're trying to get an idea like how it is here and stuff like that. And they're and they watch these guys that are older like them. They're in their 60s and they got beautiful young wives and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And so they're like, "Ooh, I want it. I want that." Just like when you're a little kid and you go to the candy store. I want that, mommy. I want that candy. Well, old guys are like that, but they just don't say it out loud. It's just in their head. But anyway, so that's certainly a reason that I would put on this list. You know what I mean? Like, without a doubt. And then finally, in closing, my friends, like I said, my next video, I'm just going to talk about how I managed or why I came here, you know, and the progression of that, how that started, because I came here for the first time, I'll tell you this, at the end of 2015. That was the very first time I came here to visit. And but anyway, you'll have to tune in to the next one to find out what happened. That's about it, guys. I'll talk to you gentlemen later, and ladies, if you're out there. I will see you on the flip side.